I'm Randy Reid, editor of Designing Lighting Magazine. We are here at LEDucation 2023, and I have the privilege of sitting down with Charles Stone of Fisher Marant Stone, FMS Lighting Design. Charles, welcome.
Good to see you, Randy.
Good to see you. Tell our audience a little bit about your impression of the show so far.
Well, I attended the first one of these. I think we were in a little ballroom with 26 people. It's come a long way, baby. I like it because it's compact. My biggest complaint is I can't see everything because I'm running into everybody I want to talk to all the time. But it's incredibly efficient. It's great.
We've been hearing great things about the show. Have you seen any products here that really excite you?
Dozens. What's interesting is the tooling is finally all new. Everybody threw away the old tools, so now it's really okay to ask for everything smaller. So what used to be 4 inches is now 2 inches, and all the new extrusions are coming for linear things. And this has been happening, but I really feel like it's maturing now. So, and at the same time, there are a lot of new companies. So you see new technology, dynamic white really gets embedded in everybody's product line, for example.
Tell our audience some trends going on in lighting design.
Well, everybody wants to talk about wellness and circadian rhythm lighting and preserving the night sky and the next energy saving option or control option, but not everybody wants to pay for it. I think that big challenge now is to really do Q&A with your client, figure out what they really want. Because in the beginning, there are a lot of rainbows, unicorns, and platitudes.
Tell our audience about the strength of the lighting design community right now. Everybody's busy, right?
Well, everybody wants to know. If you looked at that survey that Paul James did in Mondo, he does it every year. Well, when I started, and Paul Marantz is in that generation where there were a dozen or so, maybe up to 25 lighting design firms in the world. Now they're, according to that survey published last few weeks ago, they're 1,800. So I guess that means we're healthy. And I think we're fragmented too because there are different kinds of projects and regionally there are different practices and different kinds of projects. So we're built to do big, I say, although we do plenty of small projects too, whereas a lot of those firms are probably doing smaller work. So I haven't answered your question. I don't know how healthy we are as a profession. I can't tell that. Things have slowed down a little bit. Some big projects have stopped. I read the newspapers. I heard that.
Understand that. One issue that we hear when we talk to the reps is that the lighting designers many times are not in the office, or if they're in the office, maybe it's a couple days per week. They have trouble making sales calls on lighting designers. Is that true? And is there any solution to this?
I remember during the pandemic, I was in New York, and Paul and Jules were in the office that day. Joe, our chief financial officer, was in, and there was no staff in on that particular day. Jules, Paul, and I sat on the couch lamenting this situation. Okay, we're coming out of the pandemic. Everybody's got some kind of hybrid working arrangement. We do. And so the reps are having trouble getting in because there's nobody there on some days. So we're probably only making appointments for certain days. And that's probably across all the offices in New York and Seattle, for example. Maybe they could get together with us so we could get all the people back to the office. I know the mayor of New York would be happy about that.
I think a lot of cities would be happy to get the people back downtown and to the office. Okay, moving to a different subject, if I may. In your designs, in your specifications, how important are environmental impacts considerations, such as EPDs, declare labels, those sorts of things?
Just starting the latter. The former, every project most large projects have some form of LEED or LEED and well or one or the other. The codes, between LEED and the codes, doing an efficient project is baked in. Now when we get to life cycle analysis and circular economy questions, they're ahead of us in Europe on that, and there are labels being put on fixtures. You can drive yourself crazy if you actually traced every part of every light fixture and established a carbon footprint. And that's pretty far from what I want to do every day, because fundamentally, I want to do lighting design, make the world beautiful, and it can be. I've been saying for 30 years, it can be green and beautiful at the same time. But I want to focus on that, and I think our clients are calling us for a beautiful job, for the magic that FMS brings. They can get a green job without it being beautiful, and they can get that for free or from someone else or from a different consulting professional altogether. So I'm a little confused about where this goes ultimately, because people that want to do lighting design, we're already dragged down with an awful lot of technical coordination before we issue a spec, having to do with controls and conformance to energy codes. A lot of spreadsheets, a lot of research, a lot of compatibility issues. How many layers of that can our relationship with the client and the fees they're willing to pay? At this point, there's a question there.
As you said, are they willing to pay?
I wonder.
Charles, the last time we saw each other was in Dubai, and that was my first time at Light Middle East. What were your impressions of that show?
Well, it was my third or fourth time. They really got their act together this year. It was well attended. They had sponsored a lot of designers from the region and others, and I was honored to give a keynote, and the panel was great. The show was growing. You know, it's not as much as we have here at LEDucation, maybe a third of the size, but the booths were bigger. And there was a pretty good amount of variety. You've got to remember, there's a lot of money in the Middle East. The Turkish lighting industry, the Indian lighting industry, the manufacturing base is growing rapidly and the quality is rising quickly. So between that and the Europeans, there was a real mix of manufacturers present and a real mix of designers. I met, in some cases, I had to be meeting the only designer from the country. So we won't name names. But I really enjoyed it, and it was great. I had 4 days in Dubai. I really enjoyed it.
Well, I enjoyed it as well. Again, my first time, and I will be back next year. So, Charles, thank you for sitting down with us. Always a pleasure.
Very much. Real pleasure.